I really hope I can be some help in this video to anybody that is either an adoptee or an adoptive parent. This video is going to be a little bit of a hard subject for me because I have been through so much basically pain and trauma that went unaddressed for my entire life. I am 39 and basically just realized how badly I've been gaslit and believing all these lies surrounding race and adoption, and basically thinking it was all my fault. And I don't want this to be a negative video. I do honestly believe that there can be very good connections and very good bonds, and a healthy, productive member of society can be raised from an adoptee if you're a white adoptive parent adopting from another race. But until the child's world can be entered, and they can feel seen, heard, understood, and a connection and a bond can be formed, I think that it is going to be very hard for a white parent to enter that child's world. And I'm just going to go into some of my experiences of what my parents actually still do to this day that, are not okay, and that what I would recommend as a biracial adoptee or transracial adoptee for white parents to do. So this will be what not to do, my experiences, what I went through. I was adopted from birth, basically, fostered until 4, got adopted at 4. My parents were an all-white family, and whenever I had questions about what I look like, what I am, what people mean when they ask me, hey, what nationality are you? And I said, I don't know, same as you. And they'd laugh at me, and I felt stupid. And I go back to my parents and I said, what am I? And they said, you're American. And I go, well, what color am I? And they would never give me a straight answer. So I try to think, and at 7, I was raised in California, so I was around a lot of different diverse cultures, and I noticed I would gravitate towards, brown people and people that I got along with. I wasn't racist. I didn't know what race was. No kids are like truly racist. I think they're taught racism in their own home, but we'll get on that in another subject. And I felt way less racism in California. I think that was just the right place to be raised. And then hearing that, not knowing what I was, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it hurt really bad because I'm like, I don't know what I am, why I'm being asked this. If I'm the same as my family, I look in the mirror, I'm different. It was just very, very confusing as a little kid to hear, oh, you're American, you're just like us, and we don't see color. And then at 7, my dad got a new job, and we moved to Georgia. So Georgia is a lot of either African American, blacks, or white people, and there's a lot more racism in Georgia, and I did not know this. I was not prepared. I was not told this. And my parents, being white and having good intentions, they had no idea about race or anything or how to deal with it. They always told me that they gave me a safe, loving home, and how lucky I was, and how much more opportunities that I had. The whole issue of race, when it came up in Georgia, it got really bad. It got really, really bad, and that's when all these racial issues got uncovered, because there, I didn't understand what racism was. I was never explained. I was told that I was American and that I was like them, so I thought I was white. I actually thought I was white until I was around 21 when I met my biological family. I knew something was off, but I remember asking my mom, what am I? And what am I? What am I? And I just stopped asking because I knew that she wasn't telling me the truth, and I didn't know what I was because there's no family members to tell me I was Hispanic or Latino, and then I got around Georgia, and there was just all white kids and maybe a few black kids and maybe one brown kid that was, I didn't want to talk to anybody because it was so fucking terrifying. And I just felt like a fish out of water, and I got bullied, told to go back to where I came from. I didn't even know what that meant. I got told I was Afghanistan, like all sorts of racial remarks that I didn't even understand at that age. And then I remember going to my mom. I remember yelling to my sister on the bus when I was little. I was like, I think I'm gray. I think I'm gray, because all I saw was black people and white people. So in my looking back, I just feel so horrible for anybody that has to go through race that isn't explained to what they are by a white family that does love them and have good intentions, but doesn't really understand how to talk to them about race. So this is something that's definitely a not to do, is don't explain to your kid that we don't see color, you're just like us, and have them have that responsibility to figure out everything about their race, what they are, all on their own, because it's a need. It is not an expectation. And the fucked up thing is, my parents told me that I have these expectations of my parents. Like, I have these unrealistic expectations of my parents to teach me about race. And that is pretty much just gaslighting. And it's not a good position to be in when you're the only brown person or black person or Asian in your family, and then you don't know what you are, and then you're told that you have unrealistic expectations. Race is a 100% identity need, as is for anybody, to figure out their origins and what they are and where they came from. It is 100% a need, and when you take that away from a child, it causes so many problems. And they created an environment where I felt isolated, unseen, unheard. And I was told how lucky I was. I was told how good of a family I had. I was told by all my aunts and uncles, do you know what your parents did for you? How dare, if I talked to anybody about race or adoption, the first thing that would come to their mind is, how dare you? You do not get to talk like that. Do you know what your parents did for you? You should write them a letter and how thankful you are. And looking back, it's like I understand what my parents did for me, and I will always be thankful for that. I will never not be thankful for that, and I would never want to be not adopted into my family. But the responsibilities that they had to take care of a need of race and explain adoption to me was just completely failed. And it was an environment where I grew up and I wanted to kill myself because I felt so isolated. And the whole time my family's thinking that I was growing up in an environment where I was safe, I was nurtured, I had opportunities. And this whole time I grew up in an environment where I felt extremely isolated. I was never seen, I was never heard, I was never listened to. My race was never explained to me. My adoption trauma and relinquishment was never explained to me. I was never explained that it was okay to have two families. I was explained that it wasn't okay to talk about adoption. And these are needs for an adopted child. You need to be able to have a safe place to talk about adoption without hearing, well, aren't you grateful? That goes way deeper than just being grateful or ungrateful. There needs to be an environment where the adoptee can be listened to about anything regarding adoption and issues that might come up with it. And my mind's kind of racing right now, so I have so much to talk about on this subject, but those are the two main things about race and adoption that I wanted to bring up in this video. And there's always going to be resources in the description below. But if you're a white adoptive parent, you might not even realize what gaslighting is and what being dismissive is of your adopted child's needs if you don't really understand, and you just think and I get it. If I adopted a kid, I would be like, man, I'm gonna give them a home that they never had, a opportunities they would never have if they were adopted. And this is normal thinking and good intentions, but also what I'm telling you as an adoptee, what I needed was a parent that would enter my world as in race, and they're gonna have questions about why they look different. And it is not okay to say you look like us, we don't see color, and to not teach them about anything about race. Like, they need to be. My parents took me around in Georgia, all white kids. I was the only in my neighborhood. I was the only white kid out of hundreds and hundreds of kids. That is what not to do. I felt like didn't belong there every day of my life, and I honestly was suicidal. And they told me that there was just something wrong with me. And looking back, I realized why. Because the environment I was put in, I was the only person. And it would have been okay if they told me, hey, we're gonna get you around other people that look like you. Hey, we're gonna celebrate these Mexican holidays, or we're gonna teach you about, oh, what can we do to help with your race? We want to learn too. But no, it was, hey, I'm brown, and what can we do about this? Well, we tried to get you in Spanish class in school, and you didn't want to listen. My dad literally told me that. I asked him questions about race to this day, and he said, well, you didn't listen. We got you into Spanish class, and you were just the problem. You didn't listen. And that's what he taught me about race, and it was my problem and my fault. And that's not okay. Like, it's about showing your kid that you really accept, want to learn if you don't know about the race, and fully support getting them around people, mentors, maybe an adoptive therapist, professionals, adoptees, anything to show them that, hey, I might not know about your race, but we're going to get you around people that do know about your race. We're going to get you the help you need, and we're not going to make you feel isolated or unseen or unheard. And we're not just going to brush this under the table like it's a big deal. Like, I don't think that white parents understand the depth of the need and identity about surrounding race, and not just a safe, loving home. It needs to be a safe, loving home, and we're going to take care of your needs as a different race, and we're going to make that an important need, and we're going to teach you about adoption trauma, and we're going to teach you about everything. And even if you have anger and don't seem like you want to hear it, we're going to keep trying because we know how important this is. To just look up any other adoptee and biracial adoptee that was raised in a white family. They're going to have similar stories to this. And it's heartbreaking for me, because I was raised in a situation where I wanted to fucking kill myself every day, and everybody around me told me how lucky I was, and how ungrateful I was being. And it has direct ties to being raised white, essentially, as a Hispanic, and never taught about my roots, never taught about it's okay to have two different families, that adoption is trauma, that I am brown, that I am Latino, and that we're going to support you. And I just really hope that I can explain it in a way that's not scaring people, but like true bonds can be formed. And I'm gonna post stuff down below. Hopefully this helps. I know I've been rambling, but yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's very important to me to make these videos to try to explain to people what the experience is and try to help somebody out.